Hello, this is Angela Wright from Make Crypto Easy and the Daily Crypto Fix. And today I am so pleased to be with Monika Proffitt, one of the founders of Rise, which is one of the most exciting new crypto startups. Monika, thank you so much for your time here today. I'm glad to be able to talk with you about Rise. So please tell us, why Rise?
Well, as a name, I played around with a lot of different names. I wanted something that really denoted not just that we were bringing something that had increasing value to the marketplace, but also that it was intended to solve the problems of the little guy and help small people rise up, literally in their personal portfolios and in their access to equity. So our company is Rise Housing, and we focus on tokenizing the asset class, making a new asset class out of home equity. So giving people the opportunity to engage and purchase home equity in their home or in a home on the Rise network through tokenization. So one token at a time, rather than going through lending and needing to get qualified and have a lot of money to put down to begin with, and all of those things. You can just say, I pay my rent on time. I'd like a discount on my tokens. I'm in the Rise network, and I'm just going to start buying equity now, and letting that be the vehicle for home ownership.
Wow, I absolutely love that. I love the philosophy behind it as well, and that saying, you know, together we rise, is so appropriate for everything that's purely crypto. So, can you give us a little bit of background? You're talking about really disrupting the old housing scheme where you either rent and pay rent and it's just gone, or you take a mortgage and you end up paying usually at least 3 times the value of your property because of the way that's structured. So you're talking about disrupting that whole thing, right?
Oh, absolutely. And when you think about the asset itself, and you look at, say, the price of a $100,000 home, if those exist anymore, but for easy math, let's say that if you get a mortgage, you first of all got to have somehow $20,000 out of 20% down, most of the time, unless you get some sort of special government-backed type of opportunity, which is fantastic if you fit into that. But still, lowering that barrier isn't quite low enough if you have to somehow save up enough to do that. So people that don't have money coming from the generation before them are often at a huge disadvantage in trying to get ahead for the generations coming after. And even though women-held mortgages outperform men-held mortgages, women still pay more for their lending, simply because their credit scores are often lower, and when married, their husband's name comes first on all of their mortgage documents. Mm-hmm. So in the entire mortgage ecosystem, there are so many ways in which people are not dealing with the same equal footing, and they don't have an even playing field. And it's not because someone's out there maliciously trying to hold anyone back, but there's a very clear intergenerational reason and historic reason why certain people are just not able to get ahead. The average, at least in the States, the average net worth of a middle-class white family is approximately $140,000. The average net worth of a middle-class Black family is approximately $11,000. And it makes no sense when you
hang on. Just say that again, would you? That's
the average net worth of a classic middle class family in America is approximately $140,000.
Yeah.
The average net worth of the same middle class, meaning living in a similar neighborhood, working a similar job, Black family today, is approximately $11,000. Wow. And the reason for that is that Jim Crow laws, segregation laws to keep African Americans at a disadvantage, have historically been in the bank accounts of those people's ancestors, right? So intergenerationally, white people have been able to grow wealth, access lending, access land ownership, and pass it on to their children. And that has not been available for the same period of time to other groups of people. In the same sense, credit was not available to women until the 70s, the mid-70s. I was born in the mid-70s.
Oh.
Okay, to think that my mother couldn't have a credit card before the age of 35 legally in America, that would automatically put her at a disadvantage in terms of building credit. And if you add to that a heterosexual couple that's married, where there's a man earning one amount of money and a woman potentially earning pennies are a bit less on the dollar by statistical average. Still, those disparities taken out of the equation, you're going to see a man's name being put usually first on mortgage documents, meaning that when both the entire couple pays towards mortgage, it actually is weighted and bolsters his credit score. So upon divorce, if that's to happen, or even through death of the partner, a woman will be facing a lower credit score even after having performed the same way on a mortgage in the joint owned mortgage. So in all these ways, because it's not individuated to the actual investor, we're not dealing with an equal playing field. That alone, that people need to be able to save up money. Where do you get money if your parents don't have any to give you? And where does a child get money to even bury their parents if their parents didn't have a first primary home? 80% of the average middle-class estate is wrapped up in their primary home. Now, that's a huge amount of money to not have available to someone who cannot access lending. And to undo all of this, because these are things that could just keep me up at night and break my heart, and they have since I became aware of them. And I don't like just staring at a problem and thinking everything's wrong. There's got to be a solution. And for me, the solution is looking at a different way to access this very vital asset class, because there's nothing more concrete than food, clothing, and shelter. So shelter is the one that I think it's so basic to everyone. And it's so clear that our metaphors and our financial tools to access it and to leverage it for future generations, they're not adequate anymore. The 30-year fixed mortgage is a product that was made for the company man who got a job at the same time he got a house and a wife and a kid. And at the end of all that, when it came time to retire, his mortgage was paid. And that's just not anyone's reality anymore. So why do we have that product? So I think that tokenizing and using securitization and cryptocurrency is the new model for leveling that playing field and making this a wealthier, ecosystem for everyone.
Got it. What you're saying is, I didn't know the statistic about the difference in the average net worth between people of color and everybody else. That's ridiculous. I knew about credit not being available to women until the 1970s, and even now there is such a massive disparity. But I just love what you're doing, Monika. I've been watching your progress for some time, and it's phenomenal. So coming back to Rise, here you are, aware and conscious of these problems, and with the beauty of the blockchain, the security of the blockchain and cryptocurrencies, you're able to come up with a solution. So thanks for giving us that background. But what are the top 3 things that someone should know about Rise?
That we are changing the way people rent and own homes forever. We're creating a new asset class through tokenization of real assets. And our coin is going to be backed by a real asset. So an investment in the Rise coin now is an investment in our real estate acquisition fund and the creation of our company. So our platform. And that means that unlike many cryptocurrencies out there, we are going to have an entire fund that goes directly into real estate acquisition. Over 75% of our funds that we raise in this initial round are going straight into real estate acquisition. And that's going to enable us to make our token not only be successful as a currency on the cryptocurrency market, but also to be successful as a standard security or commodity, depending on how the SEC wants to look at it, that's based on just the capitalization rate of a brick and mortar asset, an asset class being real estate. We're focusing just on residential, multifamily real estate so that people can rent, and the renters that are in our buildings do not have their jobs or their lives changed at all. And if they would like to begin accessing equity, they can decide to start purchasing tokens because they'll be available to them. And the tokens will be backed by the actual asset. So they can actually access equity in their own building or in any building on the Rise network by purchasing our coin.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. And I've been looking at the asset-backed crypto for some time now, which are few and far between if you want to find something that's secure. So I've been particularly looking at property, gold, silver, and copper backed crypto, because I do not use Tether. I don't recommend that my people use Tether. I don't trust Tether. I'm sorry, Tether. But very often we want to put, in times of extreme volatility, we want to put some of our crypto into an asset-backed case, but we don't want to come back to fiat because we all know, that's only going one way and it's not today. So yeah, I think you're really onto something with these three areas now, and solving a real social need. So what's the best way for someone to get started with Rise?
The best way to get started with Rise is to participate in our pre-ICO, which is going on right now. We have different levels of bonus tokens for people who get involved. The earlier the better, from 60% down to 15%, depending on how quickly you get involved. And the Rise token is available at risehousing.io. That's our site, and we just launched our first seed round just a few days ago, and it's already been really successful and wonderful. So we're looking forward to bringing more people on and having more tokens to release to people. So the more investment we get now, the faster we can get going. But our public ICO will be starting this spring. So this is all pre and seed round, early stuff.
Okay, so the public ICO in your spring. Of course, I'm in my summer here in Australia. So to be a little bit more precise, you might be looking at, I'm guessing, April, May time. Is that right?
You know, I just love April Fool's Day. It's the day of the fool, right? It's like, we're launching our ICO. Are we really? You know, so I just thought that was the best day to go ahead and do it. It's a fun day, and I just like keeping things a little goofy. So we're going to launch on April Fool's, and you can believe us, or you can get in on April 2nd.
I love it, Monika. April 1st, it is. Okay, so that's the best way to get started. And how long is there a hold time? Obviously, pre-ICO, you're holding till ICO, but is there any kind of lock-in or any kind of vesting or any kind of hold period for your people?
We are going to do a hold period of under 6 months total. So it's about 3 to 4 months. We do just need time to make sure that because we have a firm asset behind the coin, we want to really be able to get that going before we just let go of the hold. And it's not for anything but just the logistical reasons of doing the brick and mortar work of real estate acquisition.
Of course. So talking about those acquisitions then, I know you mentioned before we have had one or two conversations prior to now, but can you just go into detail about those types of acquisitions? Because property covers a heck of a lot of ground, pardon the pun.
Yeah, so when you talk about anything that's new, that's not really been done before, you have to talk in metaphors, because it's a lot like this and it's sort of like that.
Yeah.
And then you put these things together, you know. So for example, one quick tangent, I was trying to explain blockchain to my cousin in Texas, and he was like, what I don't even know. He works on, you know, oil and gas ships in the Gulf of Mexico. He works you know, in real things. So this whole digital stuff up there, and what are you doing, Monika? You know, that was really the question. And I said, okay, I think you could boil down what blockchain can do in lots and lots of departments by saying Instagram. Instagram is on everyone's phone. All of your followers know it. So you can't post a picture of yourself and then go, oh, I don't like that picture. I'm going to take it down from everyone's phone from Instagram, and then put up another one that has me, you know, wearing a better shirt or having a hat on, right? So it's Instagram without the delete feature for PDFs, contracts, agreements, money, for all of these things. It's just, once you put it up there, you can't take it down. So now the fact that everybody's seen it already, we all know you didn't wear the shirt that you wished you were wearing in the first picture. You can't change it. You can put on a new shirt and take a new picture, but we know you wore that stupid shirt the first time. So that's what blockchain is. And he was like, okay, that still makes no sense. I don't care. At least we have a metaphor or an analogy. Yeah. So I go back to metaphors and analogies a lot when talking about Rise, because it's a hybrid. It's a new thing that's not really been made, right? We're going to have an exchange that, you know, is like, now we have a cryptocurrency exchange, but this is going to be an exchange that's based in real estate assets. It's very specific. And those assets are going to be assets that have value because tenants live in them. So it's residential assets. Okay. That is an asset class that has a thing called a capitalization rate. That capitalization rate is based just on what happens in that building. In this building that I'm in right now, everybody pays their rent on time. And because they pay their rent on time, the person who owns this building makes, you know, let's say for every dollar that they've put in, they get 5 cents back, $1.05 back, right? They have a 5% capitalization rate. Now through securitization and tokenization, everyone who buys a $1 worth of tokens in this building, for example, would get a nickel back, a dividend back. So we're a dividend producing coin.
Got it. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And so the type of property that you're looking at is really multi-use, multi-family.
Yeah, it's multifamily because I want to impact the lives of people who are renting. And I know that the best way to do our process, our customer acquisition, is to start with the crypto world. There are already plenty of people that understand crypto. They're excited about an asset that backs a crypto coin, and that's a wonderful value to bring to that community. But there's a larger community out there that's not even learned about this, and that really needs more help in financial literacy anyway. And that's the tenant. People are tenants because they can't afford to be buyers. And that's because they can't qualify for lending. They don't come from enough money. They don't have the financial literacy. So to overcome that, to target just assets, real estate assets that have these tenants in them, we don't have to change their lives, but we can give them new options. And so it's starting by having people that are crypto investors on one side, interested in the coin for the coin's value, and then going after the people that already create the value of that coin because they live in the assets that we have. And then saying, you can get in on this too, and we will help you do it. It's a true Robin Hood company. It's something that I've been noodling on and trying to figure out for a very long time, because for me to have a meaningful life and work, I'm just not excited about making a lot of money for myself and then going and buying a Lamborghini. It just doesn't make me excited. And I know I can't take it with me when I die. But I know if I can go to sleep at night and know that what I'm doing is going to help this many people do something new that they never had the chance to do, which is build something for their children and feel and be a homeowner in a new way. Also be able to move. So as our network grows, if somebody buys the coin and they're living in one of our Rise Network houses, they can move to another Rise Network house and can gain equity access that way. Or they can just buy Rise tokens on the open market. But as a tenant, because they are directly tied to the value of that asset, we should be incentivizing them and giving them a discount of their tokens. So even if it's just 1 penny off, it's a small discount that they get for paying their rent on time.
Got it. That makes a lot of sense. And the fact that you move between different Rise houses as well, that makes a lot of sense. So, so what are people saying about this then? This is quite disruptive, isn't it? Do you want to just talk a little bit about your team, or about what any opinions are about this?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. I've heard from some people, if this is such a good idea, it's such a no-brainer now that you explain it, why isn't everyone doing it? I've heard that from the very beginning. That was one of the first sort of objections / non-rhetorical questions. And when I ask people, you know, why wouldn't you have thought this up? What it comes down to is I don't think it's that common to be looking at company and company creation through the lens of social impact at all times, which is kind of my way. So it's an impact company. And to make a social impact company, you're thinking about different metrics from the very beginning. You know, it's one thing to say, I want to solve 1 billion people's problems because I want to make $1 billion. You'll look for any problem. It could be toenails. You don't care. You just want to solve it and make the money. But if you're looking to solve a problem that's a pain point that you've either experienced, I've been a tenant for many, many years. I've also been an investor and a homeowner. I've also been a landlord. So I've seen this ecology, this entire kind of ecosystem, and seen it from many angles. And I know how frustrating firsthand it can be. So I'm not looking to solve just any problem. And I know that it's not going to fulfill me to solve a problem about toenails. It's going to fulfill me to solve a problem about financial literacy and wealth redistribution. And to know that at least once I read about and found out the kind of disparities that exist, I didn't just sit around and solve toenails instead. You know, I would like to see those problems solved, or at least to take a stab at it.
Love it. Absolutely love that. Yeah, I can't see you doing toenails really, but I can see you solving financial literacy. And I think the other side of this is, in the past, or in the very recent past, families have often been contributing to their children's housing, right? That's been the way that the kids have got ahead. If you look here in Australia in particular, the ratio of what a house costs to buy compared to a typical wage is, I think it's the highest or one of the highest in the world. And it's also a struggle in the US or the UK or whatever. However, here's the thing. Now we're seeing the specter of hyperinflation around the corner. And I've been predicting this for nearly a decade, and everybody was laughing then, but now it's being talked about mainstream. And you cannot have the current financial situation as it has been structured and allowed to run rampant without hyperinflation around the corner. And what that means is, if people are giving money to their kids to get their kids started, well, then what happens? What happens to them? And how are the kids going to feel if they then have to turn around and support the parents much, much earlier than they would have done in the past? So there's a whole raft of questions, aren't there? So I think what you're talking about is really, really interesting. Now, some people might think it all sounds too easy, though, your solution. They might think it sounds too easy. So is there any drawback, or what's your answer to that?
Well, the challenges that I see ahead of us, and especially being based in the States, of course, and it was all the buzz at this conference we were just at. It was really what the SEC is going to do. The Securities Exchange Commission they've really been caught with their pants down as soon as crowdfunding happened. And it took them a couple of years to even catch up to what Kickstarter was doing. So now they sort of know maybe they should get on it a little faster, even though they are, governmental bureaucratic, institution. They sort of need to maybe tear a page from the tech world and kind of go a little faster, because we're going without them, whether they ask for it or not. But that does leave us as entrepreneurs in this space, and in any space really, waiting for the government to make a decision that could completely change the course of our business. And so what that's led to, especially in the post-Kickstarter time that the SEC is now engaging in, they're really being, from what I can see, very responsive and engaged in the crypto space, especially in the asset-backed crypto space, because you can look at that through a securities lens and call it a security. You can also look at it through a commodities lens and call it a commodity, being that it's a brick and mortar asset. So there are so many definitions that have not even been made yet. And that leaves a conversation for the entrepreneurs, such as myself. It leaves the opportunity for that conversation open. I hate to sound too much like I never graduated from college or something, or never kind of graduated from my activist roots. But when I think about laws and regulations, I think they're there in place for good reasons, and they're there for philosophical reasons, to protect consumers from things that are dangerous. And that danger is really that it affects all of us, because the bedrock of what really gives us stability in our economy is not the people at the top. It's the bedrock of the people at the bottom. And every time we've had the bottom fall out for everyone, it's because we mess with the predictability of payments and the predictability of debt, or of engagement in the economy, whether it's through wages or through debt. That really shook the bedrock of our working people. And when the working people get shaken, there's not this extra, room to just go, oh, I made a bad decision, I'll just have to repair that. When the rubber hits the road for them, it's the end of the line. It's not something that it's just a part of their portfolio that maybe just needed to get it's a correction. It's a few percentage points. It's not like that. Yeah. And so when I think about where the bedrock of our economy really lies, it's in the working people. So if we can make sure that our regulations, as they adapt, aren't just that they're coming down from on high to make sure that the working person is somewhat protected, but if we know that already, as an impact company and as entrepreneurs ourselves, we can help steer those conversations, and not just in the direction of maximizing profit for the people in place, but really are maximizing risk, that we can externalize to the general population. But to really say, okay, what you're trying to do is make sure that we don't have A, B, and C catastrophes happen to our end users. We've already considered that, and we've maybe even reiterated what you've done or done it better, because they're dealing with, regulations that they've been these slow machinations over the course of many, many, many years. And we're these new entities in this space. So I'm excited about the opportunity to actually drive some of that policy, because if we understand that they're there for good reasons, I'm not here with some libertarian bent where I'm out to just say, I'm not connected to the rest of the world. That is complete bull. We are so interconnected, and we're forced to see it when we're in very dense places. Again, which is why I want to focus on multifamily housing, because you can't pretend that you're not connected to your neighbor when you share a wall with them, or you share a fence with them. And the further out into your own, into the brush or the ranch that you can get, you can discharge a firearm and no one's going to maybe even hear it. But if you do that in the city of New York, you're going to jail, because you could have hurt someone, because they're right next to you, and we're all connected. And that's a reality that's that's there philosophically, but I think the more dense our built environment is, the more we can come face to face with that psychologically and start to regard each other with the respect that we deserve.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. We can talk about this all day long. And what I love about both Humanity Plus business and crypto is that peace only comes through prosperity, and prosperity only comes through active, positive Humanity Plus or impact driven businesses, and that's what keeps us all stable and the whole society's peaceful. So philosophically, I think we're talking about the same thing, but your specific crypto, your specific ICO is really interesting. What I want to do is say to people, go and have a look at your site. I want you to give them more details about that. Tell them what they can do right now, how to take part and so on, or how to just find out more information. And then, Monika, I would love to get you on another call when people perhaps have had time to check that out for themselves and go into this in a little bit more detail. So thank you for that. So just tell them, just say again, where do people get more information and what should they do with that information?
All right. You can get more information at risehousing.io. That's Rise, R-I-S-E, housing.io. And if you'd like to read our white paper, just scroll down to the bottom where we have publications. We've got a brief summary if you don't have the longest attention span in the world, or you can read the tome of our white paper down there. You can participate in our earliest round with the greatest bonus, a 60% token bonus right now by going to risehousing.io and just click on buy tokens now. You can be a part of that. We're going to be partnering with Kick ICO in a few days, within the next week, to get our pre-ICO kicked off with them, where they're going to be handling so much more of it. So it's going to just get bigger. So the sooner you get in, the better. And then our bonuses in the pre-ICO round are going to be slightly less than 60%, all the way down to when we have our full ICO starting April 1st. So go to risehousing.io and click buy tokens, or learn more by reading our white paper.
Lovely. And is there a minimum or a maximum investment?
There's not a minimum. That's part of the ethic of the actual company. There's no minimum. And we haven't even discussed a maximum. We haven't had any discussions with large accredited investors. We're not putting a maximum on as well.
Okay, good. Okay, that's been so interesting, Monika. It's been such a valuable conversation to have with you today about your Rise Housing. I've really enjoyed talking with you. I really do urge everybody to go to risehousing.io. As you've said, have a look through. There's no minimum investment. So if somebody just wanted to dip a toe in the water, either from an investment point of view or from an ethical supportive point of view, or both, then you can literally do that with not very much money at all, or you can put in larger amounts. And you're with Kick ICO shortly. So now's the time if anybody wants to get into your pre-ICO with your 60% discount. So it's really exciting. We'll definitely arrange another conversation soon and get
it's a 60% bonus. Sorry,
that's what I meant. Yeah, 60%. Beg your pardon. 60% bonus. You're exactly right. So thank you so much for your time. It's been a real pleasure. And,
it's been such a pleasure. Thank you so much, Angela. It's been so nice to talk with you.
Likewise. Monika Proffitt, extraordinary woman from Rise Housing. Check it all out at risehousing.io. This is Angela Wright from Make Crypto Easy and Daily Crypto Fix. So nice to talk with you today. Thank you for your time. Thank you again, Monika. Bye for now.
Thank you. Bye-bye.